Welcome into the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. We'll be talking everything Denver sports and beyond. Please like and subscribe if you are a sports fan like me. Let's do this. Welcome into the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. A little bit different podcast today. I'm going to do a mid-season pod assessing the Broncos' 8 games through the 2024 NFL season. Follow me on Sharp Sports 82 here on YouTube as well as Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. It's Twitter. Anyways, good to have you. Well, the Broncos are doing pretty good. They're at 5-3 right now. Second in the AFC West, only to the reigning 2-time Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs. They are at 5-3. I went back and looked. I had them at 5-3. Now, did I have them winning the exact games that they won and lost? No. I was incorrect on some of those. I thought that they would lose at Seattle. They did. I thought they would win at home versus Pittsburgh. They lost that game to start 0-2, which made me nervous because the next week they had to go to Tampa Bay, which I thought would be a very difficult game. Broncos won that game quite handily. Won their game at New York, so 2 road wins. That's something we'll delve into a little bit later. Came home, beat the hapless, spiraling Vegas Raiders, who thought that Gardner Minshew was the answer to play quarterback in 2024. I don't get it. It's Gardner Minshew. He's not a starter. They should have drafted somebody. Brock Bowers is a wonderful player. Aiden, but to not have anybody to compete for a starting job as a young drafted rookie quarterback, I think was a mistake by the Raiders, and they're paying for it dearly. Unfortunately, host of the Chargers divisional game lost that one. Went to New Orleans on a Thursday night, won, and easily handled the Panthers at home. So Broncos are at 5-3 right now, and believe it or not, they are the 5 seed right now. 5 seed in the AFC, which is not easy. So they would go to Buffalo to play the Bills in an AFC wildcard round right now. So, you know, they could get killed by the Bills. I have no idea. But the thing is, this team has momentum. For the record, I went back. You can check out last week's pod in which I broke down how miserable the Broncos have been for the last 8 years. They've finished with an average record of 6-10 every single year, and they're already at 5 wins this year, which is great. So the players they have are a little bit lesser known, which is why their win total and prediction by a lot of prognosticators was so low. But that's because they have players that the league just doesn't know about. They also play as a unit. Also, I don't think that the outside people, they looked at the numbers, but they didn't understand just how poor the quarterback and overall play of the team has been during the last 8 years. So upgrade at coach, although Sean Payton was here last year. The second year, you can clearly see his system and methods are much more in place in year 2 than they were in year 1. So upgrade at quarterback, in my opinion. Upgrade the roster a bit. Yes, it's young, but young and talented. And the Broncos are no longer a bottom feeder. They are not a bottom feeder of the team. We saw them play a bottom feeder team last week in the Carolina Panthers, who will have a top 3 draft pick, if not the number 1 pick. And it was not competitive. So the Broncos are no longer a bottom 10 team. They're a middle team, which means you have to take care of business against the bad teams, against the Jets, against the Raiders, against the Panthers. And then you have a surprise win or 2 along the way, i.e. winning in Tampa Bay, or even beating New Orleans, who is about as bad as I thought they'd be, but maybe a little worse. So, but Thursday night road wins are not easy. They're not easy at all. So, also, as I discussed a little bit earlier, Sean Payton factor. Sean Payton knows the NFC South very well as he used to coach there, something I talked about in my prediction pod. I will continue to talk about. It's an advantage this year. We happen to play the one NFC division that he knows very well. And so far, the Broncos are 3-0 in those games. And the AFC wins would be more valuable, but at this point, it's more about building confidence within the team, momentum within the team, winning with the young team, and winning with the rookie quarterback. And if you can win with the rookie quarterback while you develop him, I like that. Plus, Broncos have been winning on the road. They actually have a better road record right now than they do home record, which is not something I would have predicted. Broncos have been, quite frankly, dreadful on the road for quite a while. So, let's see here. Yeah, home record 2-2, road record 3-1. And also, the one other thing they've been doing very well is not turning the ball over. Bo Nix definitely doing a good job of protecting the football. Yes, they've had some fumbling issues with Audric Estime and their running backs and their wide receivers in this last Carolina Panther game, but that's something you can correct with coaching, film study, and whatnot. So I am definitely optimistic for this team coming up. The next half of their season is more challenging than the first half, but we knew that going in. But the good thing is they have banked 5 wins on the season. They're already at basically their Vegas win total, which I did bet. And I'm looking to get paid on this next week, which would be wonderful. So things are looking up in Broncos country. We're going to delve into a few more specifics coming right up. While continuing to draft and develop Bo Nix, I also was hoping that the Broncos would be able to develop some of their young offensive talent along the way to help their young quarterback. In the beginning of the year, I had 3 players you need to watch for on the Denver Broncos. Well, so far I've been horribly wrong. Totally wrong. We're going to take a little delve back into those 3 players today because they're worth talking about, even though they are not doing very well and certainly not contributing very much to the success of the 2024 Denver Broncos, which actually says a lot about the team because some of these guys should be helping a lot more and they're not, which is okay. First up, Greg Dulcich, drafted pretty high a few years ago, certainly showed some flashes. So far, he's played in 4 games. He's been inactive in 4 games. I talked about this a little bit on last time's pod against the Carolina Panthers. Sean Payton article came out and said that he's basically working his tail off to get back on the field. I don't know what that means. But apparently he's not hurt now. He's just a healthy scratch. And they found tight end production for the first time in quite a while with Lucas Kroll and some other guys last week. So Greg Dulcich played 4 games, inactive 4 games for the season. He has 12 targets, 5 catches. So he also was dropping balls in the beginning of the year, especially against Seattle. He has 28 yards for the entire season. So far, Greg Dulcich not doing well. I give him an F. It's a fail. It's a failed pick at this time. He's a failed player. I hope he's not a bust. I think he has talent, but he's either not on the field because he's hurt, or he doesn't have the trust of the coach, or when he is out there, he drops too many passes, which means he doesn't get any trust from Bo Nix or the coaching staff. So far, Greg Dulcich, it's a 0. It's an F. Sorry, Greg. Gotta do better. Next guy up, Marvin Mims, who I was hoping would take another leap. First draft pick of the Sean Payton era. Basically, he's supposed to be a gadget guy. He's slightly undersized at his position, but he's supposed to be a speedster, get him in space, create mismatches, home run hitter, that type of thing. So far, Marvin Mims has played in every game. Luckily, he's played in 8 games. That's good. He has 13 targets. He has 6 catches for 52 yards. 52 yards for 8 games. That's nothing. There are guys that can have that in a quarter. So, I mean, I want him to do a lot better. He should be doing catching the ball, running the ball, end arounds, even punt returns, whatever, do anything. But so far, I have to give him a D. Yeah, he's on the field. Yeah, he's playing. He's not changing the game. He's not giving the offense any consistent dynamic plays. So Marvin Mims, D. Sorry. Next guy up, Devon Dele. Now, Devon has shown some flashes. He certainly played well. Unfortunately, he had an injury that kept him out for middle chunk of the season. He missed the game against the Steelers, Bucks, Jets, and Raiders. So he's played in 4 of the 8 games. In those 4 that he's played, though, he's had 20 targets, 16 receptions, 165 yards, and at least his catch percentage is around 80%. So if you get him the ball, he'll catch the ball. So I'm good with that. He was sort of supposed to be the replacement for Tim Patrick. There was a lot of debate here in Denver about his role on the team once Tim Patrick was let go. I was of the opinion that you keep Tim Patrick for 1 more year while you bring Devon Dele along, especially if he's going to have some injury problems. But the Broncos chose to go with the youth movement. I somewhat understood where they were coming from. So far, Dele, I'd give him a C. A for effort. He's certainly not. He seems to be wanting to be on the field. When he's on the field, he actually does okay, but he's only played in 4 games so far. So I'd say C or incomplete. Don't really know what he has to offer. So, in saying all this, gives me more optimism for the Broncos a little bit, because I thought 3 of these guys would really need to step up for the Broncos offense to do something and for them to win games this year. And frankly, these 3 guys are making me look bad. So, I don't know. We'll see. I might have to pick 3 more players to watch for the remainder of the 2024 season, but yet has yet to be determined. One player that is certainly not disappointing this 2024 season is Bo Nix, who's continuing to get better. Draft and develop, draft and develop, draft and develop. This is what it looks like. First 4 games were a little rough. Last 4 games have been very good. He's getting better. There's no question about that. And in fact, Mr. Bo Nix has now won himself Offensive Rookie of the Month. And I'm going to quote Mike Kliss here from Denver Post because he had the stats up. In the last 4 games, Bo Nix is 3-1. He's thrown for 870 yards, 7 TDs, 1 interception, a 102 quarterback rating. He's also rushed for 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is the first Bronco rookie to win offensive awards since Clinton Portis in 2002. Let that sink in for a second. So the Broncos have not had an offensive, we're not even talking rookie of the year offensively. Rookie of the month. They have not had one in 22 years. That's it's mind blowing, to be honest with you. Okay? So, and that's an amazing thing for Bo Nix. I'm very happy for him. He's a great distributor of the ball. Clearly has some leadership abilities. And don't take my word for it. I'm just some guy on YouTube. Take it from Joel Klatt, who definitely knows way more about football than I ever will. Great broadcaster on college football. He was recently on Denver radio. And they asked him specifically about Bo Nix. And I'm going to be quoting Joel Klatt now. You saw elements of growth ahead. Anytime you can be in above. They asked him, where do you see Bo Nix right now? Ahead. Anytime you can be an above 500 team and your quarterback can play with few to minimal mistakes, you're way, way ahead of the curve. Ball is on time and on target, and Bo does a good job of that. Yes, I agree. So, Joel Klatt fully endorsed Bo Nix before he was drafted to the Denver Broncos. He actually called a shot about 6 months, a couple months before they did it. And Bo Nix is getting there. He's definitely improving. There's no question about that. He had a few rough outings. Again, I'm going to exclude the Jets game. The wet ball, the wet conditions, because Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers didn't play any better in those conditions either. So if you want to use that against him, use it against Aaron Rodgers as well. It was horrible conditions. So Bo Nix is continuing to improve. His numbers are good. And I'm very optimistic about his future as the Denver Broncos quarterback. midway through the 2024 season, the Denver Broncos are doing pretty good. They will not be favorites in the next two games. They go to Baltimore to play the Ravens next, and then they play the AFC reigning and Super Bowl reigning champion, Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore and Kansas City played for the AFC title last year, so you're going to find out real quick exactly where the Denver Broncos stand. I don't see them winning either of these games. However, I do see them being competitive in these games. If they were to win one or I'm not going to predict both games, but if they were to win one of these games, that would be a very, very good barometer of where this team is at. So, the national media is going to be slow to recognize that this isn't the same old Broncos, which is what happens when you've been this bad for 8 years. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about where the Broncos are in the power rankings. Don't worry about where Bo Nix. I see Bronco fans on Twitter lamenting where Bo and the Broncos are ranked by national pundits. Don't worry about that. Keep your head down. Win games. No one cares. No one cares. Win games. Then the accolades will come. So, go win games with this young group. Draft and develop. Sweep the sorry Raiders. Get revenge on the Chargers, maybe in Los Angeles, because we know there's going to be a good amount of Bronco fans in LA, as there are for pretty much every Charger home game. Maybe just beat the Chiefs once this year and capture that elusive wild card berth in the AFC that the Broncos have not had since Barack Obama was president. So, establish core players, perhaps add to it, draft and develop. Broncos are on the right path. Anyways, once again, my name is Andrew Sharp. Thanks for tuning in, Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. Follow me on X, or Twitter, as I like to call it, at SharpSports82. I look forward to talking to you some more about Broncos. Up next, they play Baltimore. I'll be back breaking down that game as soon as it happens. Once again, midseason pod. Broncos are doing good. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk next time.